There are moments in history that change everything. Moments where one single decision, one tiny shift in direction creates consequences that echo for generations. The year 1965 was exactly one of those moments for American coinage, and hidden inside that historic turning point is a coin so rare, so controversial, so staggeringly valuable that the numismatic world has never stopped talking about it. A coin that starts with a face value of 25 cents and ends with an auction reality of $300,000 and beyond. A coin that could be sitting in your home right now completely unrecognized and completely undervalued. This is the 1965 Washington quarter error coin story, and it starts with one of the biggest decisions the United States government ever made about money. Imagine being alive in 1964 and watching the price of silver climb so dramatically that the metal inside your coins was worth more than the coins themselves. That is exactly what was happening. Across America, people were pulling silver coins out of circulation and hoarding them by the millions. The entire monetary system was under genuine threat. And so in 1965, the United States government made a decision that permanently and irreversibly changed American coinage forever. They eliminated silver from the Washington quarter completely. No more 90% silver composition. From 1965 forward, the quarter would be made of copper nickel clad, a sandwich of base metals that looked similar to silver but contained none. It was a historic transition, a line drawn permanently across the timeline of American numismatic history. Before 1965, silver. After 1965, clad. And right in the middle of that chaotic transition, something went spectacularly and incredibly wrong. Inside the United States Mint, something that created one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the entire history of American coinage. Here is what the 1965 Washington quarter looks like, so you know exactly what you are searching for. On the obverse, that iconic left-facing portrait of George Washington, composed and dignified, with liberty above his head and "In God We Trust" to his right. The date 1965 at the bottom. Now critically important, in 1965 the Mint made another significant decision. They removed all mint marks from coins that year in an attempt to discourage hoarding and speculation. So, your 1965 quarter will show no mint mark at all regardless of where it was produced. On the reverse, the American bald eagle spreading powerful wings, clutching arrows and olive branch, surrounded by United States of America and quarter dollar. Below, the coin measures 24.3 millimeters and weighs 5.67 grams in its standard clad form. But here is where everything gets absolutely extraordinary. During that frantic transition from silver to clad production in 1965, with mint workers under enormous pressure to produce coins as fast as humanly possible, certain 1965 Washington quarters were accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets left over from 1964 production. A silver planchet finding its way into the 1965 clad coin press, creating a coin that looks like a standard 1965 quarter but carries the wrong composition, entirely the wrong weight, the wrong metal, the wrong everything, except the right date and the right design. These silver planchet errors are so extraordinarily rare, so historically significant, and so desperately wanted by collectors worldwide that confirmed certified examples are treated with the kind of reverence normally reserved for national treasures, because in every meaningful sense of the word, that is exactly what they are. How do you identify one? Weight is your most powerful tool here. A standard 1965 clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A 1965 quarter accidentally struck on a 90% silver planchet will weigh closer to 6.25 grams, the weight of the pre-1965 silver quarters. If you have a precise digital scale, and I strongly suggest you get one after watching This video, weigh every 1965 quarter you own right now. That small difference in grams between 5.67 and 6.25 is the difference between 25 cents and $300,000. Let that number sit with you for a moment. The difference between a coin you would spend without thinking in a coin that changes your financial life completely is less than 1 gram of weight. Certified 1965 Washington quarter. Silver planchet errors, authenticated by PCGS or NGC in top condition. Auction results reaching $300,000 and beyond for the finest known examples ever brought to market. $300,000. Born from one chaotic, transitional year when history turned a corner and accidentally left behind something priceless. Weigh your 1965 quarters today. Every single one. Because the difference between your life before and after this video might be sitting on your shelf right now weighing exactly 6.25 grams. Sparkles. Subscribe to Coin Clues, where every coin hides a story worth telling and sometimes worth $300,000. 3 numbers. 1979. That is all it says on this coin. 3 numbers and a date that most people have walked past, spent, dropped, and forgotten about for over 4 decades without a single second thought. But those 3 numbers, that tiny date stamped on a simple quarter, represent something that serious collectors have been quietly, desperately, obsessively hunting for since the moment these coins first entered circulation. Because the rarest error version of the 1979 Washington quarter is not worth 25 cents. It is not worth $25. It is not even worth $2,500. The finest certified examples of this coin have sold at auction for $255,900 and beyond, and you might have one right now, today. Let me take you back to 1979 because context is everything when it comes to understanding why this coin carries such extraordinary weight. America in 1979 was a nation under serious pressure. The Iranian hostage crisis was dominating every headline. Oil prices were skyrocketing. Inflation was eating away at the purchasing power of every dollar and every quarter in American pockets. People were stretching every cent as far as it would go, and inside the United States Mint, coin presses were running at full capacity, pushing hundreds of millions of Washington quarters into an economy that desperately needed them. Philadelphia and Denver combined to produce over 500 million quarters that year alone. 500 million coins. And somewhere, buried deep inside that 500 million coin production run, a small number of spectacular error coins escaped into the world completely unnoticed. Those coins have been quietly passing through unknowing hands ever since, until now. The 1979 Washington quarter is a coin that deserves your complete and undivided attention right now. On the obverse you will find that legendary left-facing portrait of George Washington, strong, composed, timeless, with liberty arching above and in God we trust to his right. The date 1979 sits at the bottom, and this is critically important. Check immediately for either a P mint mark for Philadelphia or a D for Denver production, because that distinction plays a significant role in error identification and ultimate collector value. On the reverse, the American bald eagle commands the design with wings powerfully spread, arrows and olive branch firmly in its grasp. United States of America above and $quarter below. The coin measures 24.3 millimeters, weighs 5.67 grams and carries that copper nickel-clad composition. Looks completely ordinary. Could be anything but. Now here is where your heart needs. Marketplace, $255,900 for 1 quarter. One coin from one of the most economically stressed years in modern American history, now worth more than most people earn in 5 years of working every single day. Go find your 1979 quarters right now. All of them. Examine every single one under strong light and proper magnification. Look for doubling Look for off-center strikes. Look for anything that makes your instincts fire. And if you find something that looks even slightly different, do not spend it, do not clean it, and do not wait another day to get it professionally evaluated. The most important coin decision of your life might be just one quarter away. Sparkles. Subscribe to Coin Clues right now, because next week we reveal another hidden treasure that could already be sitting in your pocket today. What if I told you that the most expensive quarter you will ever see in your entire lifetime is not sitting behind glass in a museum? It is not locked inside a professional collector's bald eagle spreads its wings in that iconic powerful stance, clutching arrows and olive branch, surrounded by United States of America and quarter dollar at the bottom. The coin measures 24.3 millimeters, weighs 5.67 grams, and is composed of copper nickel-clad layers. Deceptively ordinary, potentially extraordinary. Now lean forward, because this is where everything gets serious. The error varieties that exist on certain 1968 Washington quarters have produced some of the most breathtaking auction results in the entire history of American quarter collecting. The double die obverse on this coin, where liberty, in God we trust, and Washington's facial features show dramatic, unmistakable ghosted doubling, is the crown jewel that every serious collector on earth is desperately hunting for right now. Pull out your magnifying glass. Immediately, look at the lettering on your 1968 quarter with completely fresh eyes. Do those letters appear thick, shadowed, doubled in any way that looks even slightly unusual? Because if something catches your eye right now, you need to stop breathing for a moment and think very carefully about what you might actually be holding. Off-center strikes on the 1968 Washington quarter, where that entire iconic design shifts dramatically away from center while the date remains fully readable, have generated bidding wars at major auction houses that left observers genuinely stunned. Wrong planchet errors from this year are so extraordinarily scarce that when one surfaces it sends shockwaves through the entire numismatic community within hours. These are not just rare coins. These are once-in-a-generation events. These are the finds that define entire collecting careers, and they are still out there waiting to be discovered by someone who was paying attention at exactly the right moment. That moment is right now. That someone is potentially you. Certified 1968 Washington quarter error coins, authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC in the highest mint state. Conditions have achieved verified auction results that climb to $249,000 and beyond for the finest, most dramatic, and most historically significant specimens ever brought to market. $249,000 for one quarter from one of the most turbulent and unforgettable years in American history. Find your 1968 quarters right now. Every single one. Examine them carefully under strong light and magnification. Look for doubling. Look for anything unusual. Look with the eyes of someone who understands that what they are holding could rewrite their financial story completely, because it genuinely could. Sparkles. Subscribe to Coin Clues, the channel where ordinary coins reveal extraordinary secrets every single week. I want you to do something right now. I want you to close your eyes for just 1 second and imagine opening an old coat pocket, one you have not touched in years, and pulling out a single quarter, just one ordinary looking 1969 D Washington quarter. You almost put it back. You almost drop it in a vending machine without a second thought. But something makes you stop. Something makes you look closer. And in that single frozen moment, you realize you are holding between your fingers a coin worth somewhere between $105,000 and $261,000. This is not imagination. This is not a fantasy. This has happened to real people in the real world. And after watching this video, it could happen to you too. Here is what makes 1969 such a deeply significant year for American coinage. the United States was in the middle of one of the most turbulent and transformative decades in its entire history. The Apollo 11 moon landing had just captivated the entire world. A nation was changing, evolving, pushing boundaries in every possible direction. And inside the Denver Mint, working quietly and relentlessly through all of that historic noise, coin presses were striking hundreds of millions of Washington quarters that would flow into American commerce. Over 114 million 1969 D quarters were produced that year alone. 114 million coins entering the world and hidden somewhere inside that enormous production run, a tiny handful of catastrophically rare error coins slipped through every single layer of quality control completely, undetected, unnoticed, undervalued, just waiting for someone exactly like you to finally find them. Let me paint you a precise picture of this coin, because knowing exactly what you are looking at is absolutely everything. On the obverse you will find the bold, dignified portrait of George Washington, first President of the United States, facing left, with liberty arching above his head, and in God we trust to his right. The date 1969 sits at the bottom with that all-important D mint mark confirming Denver production. Flip it over, and there is the iconic American bald eagle, with wings dramatically spread wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by United States of America and $quarter at the bottom. This coin measures 24.3 millimeters, weighs 5.67 grams, and is composed of a clad sandwich of copper and nickel layers. Familiar, unremarkable looking, and in certain rare error examples, absolutely priceless. Now here is the moment everything shifts completely. The errors that exist on certain 1969 D Washington quarters are so dramatic, so visually undeniable, and so extraordinarily rare that when certified examples surface at major auction houses, the energy in the room transforms instantly. The most prized error is the double die obverse, where Washington's portrait, the inscription, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," show powerful, unmistakable doubling caused by a misaligned die during production. Look at those words on your 1969 D quarter right now under a magnifying glass. Do the letters appear ghosted or doubled? Does Washington's eye or hairline show any duplication? Because if you are nodding yes right now, protect that coin immediately and do not let it out of your sight. Wrong planchet errors on the 1969 D quarter, where Washington's design was accidentally struck on a blank intended for a completely different denomination, are so vanishingly rare that confirmed certified examples exist in only a tiny number of known specimens worldwide. Off-center strikes showing Washington's portrait dramatically shifted while the date and mint mark remain clearly visible have triggered some of the most intense and ferocious bidding ever witnessed at American numismatic auctions. These are the coins that make grown collectors emotional. These are the coins that get talked about for decades. These are the coins that change lives. And now, the number that has been building behind every single word of this entire video, the verified, documented auction reality of what the rarest 1969 D Washington quarter error coins are genuinely worth in today's numismatic marketplace. Certified examples authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC in top mint state condition have achieved staggering verified results ranging from $105,000 on the lower end of truly exceptional specimens all the way up to $261,000 and beyond for the finest, most dramatic, and most historically significant examples ever brought to auction. $261,000 for one quarter, one coin that most people would spend on a parking meter without blinking. Go find every 1969 D Washington quarter you own right now. Examine each one carefully under good magnification and strong light. Look for doubling. Look for anything that makes you pause, even for half a second, because that pause, that single moment of hesitation, could be the most valuable instinct you have ever followed in your entire life. Sparkles. Subscribe to Coin Clues because we uncover life-changing treasures every single week that could already be hiding in your pocket right now.